Welcome back to Westwood Engineering. Today we're going to learn a little bit about how we can make an assembly drawing and an exploded view out of an assembly. So let's get rolling. You'll see in front of you is the sample automata that I gave you earlier when we learned about how to do motion and do a motion study in SOLIDWORKS. So you'll see it's all assembled and it's got motion. It may be underdefined and yours may be also, and we're not going to get too crazy about that. It's okay if it's a little bit underdefined, as long as the motion of the object functions the way that you predicted it would, and in fact, the way you want it to. So our next step here is to make an exploded view out of our model. And an exploded view is nothing more that shows how it goes together. And what I want you to really focus on for the exploded view is I want you to focus on the cam assembly and then how the box goes together as well. So before we can make an exploded view, what we actually have to do is we actually have to explode the model, and that's in a configuration of the model. So let's do that first. So to get an exploded view, what we do is come up to our configuration manager. You'll see where my cursor is flashing. If we click on this, what you'll now see is different configurations within the model. Since this model only has, or this assembly only has one configuration, it's the default configuration. If I'd like to add an exploded view in here, there's a couple different ways I can do that. I can go to my assembly tab on the top command manager here, and I could choose an exploded view right where my cursor is flashing. Or what I typically do more simply is I can just right click on the default view and say, hey, add a new exploded view. So I'll do that. Now in your exploded view, and we've seen this before, what we need to do is we need to explode it step by step. It's good to have a strategy when you start this. So the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom out on my model a little bit, and I'm going to start to pull the model apart. And I'm going to start by pulling the flowers out and away. So I'm going to start with this blue flower. And each explosion will be a step. So if I click on the flower, you'll see over here, the blue flower, you'll see over here that that's the item that's selected. Now I can either pull it away in a linear direction, or I can do it radially. We're going to do linear directions away. So what I want to do is grab these pull bars and pull it up first, and then we'll just leave it a little bit above the model, just like that. Now if I want to pull everything up at once, I can click multiple entities and pull them up. Now you'll see that's not necessarily a bad strategy for this example, so I'm going to do that. And click the Done button right here. Now notice also that I can control the displacement of it. I don't want to go too far, so I'm going to make this about 2 inches. When I'm done, I click the Done button. Now if I click this check mark up here, it's going to close the exploded view, and I'm going to show you that just as an example. You should not do this. But I close it, you're like, oh, I've got my exploded view. I do. Here it is. I can always go back and I can edit this. You'll see I've got my first explosion here, or explosion step, and it's the flowers moving up. I can go ahead and add a new step. That's pretty easy to do. I just click on Done again here, and now I'm going to go ahead and pull the green rods out. And I'm going to pull the green rod, this green rod from the right. I'm going to pull that one out. And then I'm going to pull the green rod on the left, just outside. And you'll see I'm just kind of using my scale. I'm just going about 3/4 of an inch out. Click Done. And I'll pull my green rod from the center, also out to the left. And click Done. So now I've pulled the green rods out. Now I don't really want to take the box all the way apart, but I do want to show how the top of the box comes off. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to explode that. I'm just going to pull that up. So what I'll do is click on the box top. You can zoom in, pull that up. And then I'm going to choose both of my sets of standoffs and pull those up. And click Done. Now I'm going to pull my box ever so slightly up. And as I said, you can fine tune these and set these to 1. And I can also come back here on any one of these steps and I can actually manipulate the numbers to be very precise. So if I want 1.5, and let's just say that I want 2 inches on this, and this explosion out to the side, looks like I went 4 inches outside the box, 5 inches outside the box. And there I've closed my exploded view inadvertently. Go back and edit that feature. So there's my exploded view. Now let me finish this off here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add another step here. And if I add a subsequent step, notice I don't have anything selected. As soon as I click on an entity, it starts to add it. So I'm going to pull the handle off. Pull that handle out about 2.25 inches away. And pull the bushing out on the right-hand side. I'm going to say about 2 inches. Now on the left-hand side, I'm going to pull the bushing out. And notice I can pull or push these entities. About 1.5 inches. I'll leave the rod centered up in the middle of it because I think it's pretty self-explanatory how that goes apart. Now I'm going to pull my box apart ever so slightly. Pull that box front out, maybe 2 inches. And I didn't mean to do that, so I can go ahead and delete that. Try that again. I moved it up 2 inches. 2 inches. And now what I really want to do is get my cams out here where I can see them. So what I'm going to do now as a step, I've exploded this up, and I'm going to go ahead and grab my top, my standoffs, and the upper deck, and I'm going to pull these to the right as a new step. And I'll go right about 6 inches. Now I'm going to pull all of my cams up at once. And if I select something inadvertently, I just click it again to get rid of it. I'll pull all of these up. And I think that's about as far as I'm going to explode this. So I'll set this up to, let's just call it 4 inches. And click Done. Now I can accept my explosion by hitting the check, the little green check mark. Now if I right click on exploded view, I can animate the collapse, and you'll see it goes back together in the sequence that I put it together, or pulled it apart rather. I can also slow it down. I can also record this as an AVI or an MPEG, as we did before. So now I've got my configuration done for my assembly. That's the first step that I'd like you to do, is to make an exploded configuration for your assembly. What I'd like you to do to document and submit for this module is I would like you to go ahead and click on the little animation icon right here. Okay, so now we can make a movie of this. And I had it in a looped mode before. So what you want to do is click on just a single playthrough here. Once I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and rewind it. And here I'm in my exploded view where we started. And I'm going to click on my Save Animation. So I want to choose this as an MP4 file. And that's what you'll submit for this assignment. And my custom aspect ratio that I'm going to use is 1:1, basically a square format. And once I'm happy with that, I'll go ahead and click Save. I already have one saved, so I'm overwriting that. And now what you'll see is it's running through. Now my animation happens to be 8 seconds, which is probably a little bit long for this. You can trim that up if you'd like. But I'll let mine run through as I chit-chat and you watch it come together. And there it is. Now if I go to the folder where I saved that, you'll find that you've got yourself an MP4 showing your model and how it goes together. Pretty cool. That's what you're going to submit. You're going to submit a assembly MP4 of your model from its exploded view. That's what you'll submit for this assignment. Next up, what we're going to do is we're going to learn how to do a drawing, an assembly drawing of the same model. Thanks for watching.